Welcome back, everyone, to another story. This story has a few crazy plot twists, so you should definitely watch until the end to see what happens. Enjoy the story. As I sat on the bus coming home from the interview, I reflected on what had just happened. I had just been rejected by yet another modeling agency, the second one this month. The modeling scouts never seemed to think I had what it took. It certainly didn't help that I was short and not very strong. I felt like I would never be able to achieve my dreams. Since I was young, I had dreamed of becoming a world-famous model. It's all I've ever wanted. My name is Hayden, and I'm only 16 years old. I live in New York, not far from the city, while I'm still in high school. I have started trying to achieve my goals of becoming a model. I hoped that if I could start a career before finishing school, I wouldn't have to go to college, something I really didn't want to do. Things weren't going well, though. Despite my efforts, I had never made it past the interview. Maybe next time, I thought to myself as I prepared to exit the bus at my stop. I walked back to my house and went inside. I entered my room and closed the door behind me, deciding to get some rest. After a few minutes, I heard my mum knock on my door, asking how the interview had gone. I told her what had happened. I once again wasn't what they were looking for and had been rejected. My mum told me not to give up and that there would be someone out there who would like me. While I appreciated the kind words, I knew she was just trying to make me feel better. I spent the rest of the day not doing much, trying to forget about what had happened earlier. Eventually, the next day came, and I decided to try and come up with an idea. I knew if I kept applying for modeling positions, I would continue to be rejected. I therefore had to come up with something to make me more appealing to the agencies. I first thought of going to the gym to try and get stronger and better looking. I thought it might work, but I was still pretty short, one of the main reasons I was continually being rejected. After some more thinking, I came up with another, much crazier idea. What if I pretended to be a girl? The idea seemed insane, but I also thought it was doable. When I was younger, my older sister would occasionally dress me up to look like a girl. I hadn't done it in a while, but it wasn't like my body had changed much. With a little modifying and makeup, I probably could look like a girl. With no other good ideas, I thought I would at least try. I decided to speak to my mum first to see if she could help me. After explaining everything to her and asking for her help, she agreed. I'm friends with a really good makeup artist. Maybe she would be able to help, said my mum. Oh, really? That would be perfect. Can you ask her? I responded, thrilled with the idea. My mum took out her phone and gave her friend a call. Hi, Susan. I have a strange request, but it's very important to my son. My mum said to her friend. I wasn't able to hear Susan's response, but judging from what my mum said, it sounded like she was up for it. After my mum ended the call, she told me I had an appointment the next day, where I would be temporarily changed into a girl. I was very excited for it. While I wasn't the biggest fan of becoming a girl, I knew it gave me a much better chance of becoming a model. I spent the rest of the day filling out a new job application with a new name. I chose the name Holly for my girl persona, as it was fairly similar to Hayden. Once I finished the application, I sent it to the same agency I had been rejected from the previous day. Hopefully they'll get back to me soon. I'm excited to give this a try, I said to myself as I got ready for bed. Early the next morning, I prepared to go see the makeup artist. My mum drove me to a small clinic not far from our house. Once we arrived, I went inside with my mum, where I was introduced to Susan. I started talking with Susan, explaining everything to her. She seemed to understand why I wanted to do this and was committed to helping me, which made me feel good. I was told that the whole makeup transformation process would take around 3 hours. I was a little surprised by this, but decided it would be worth it to potentially get the modeling job. My mom decided to go into the city to meet a friend, leaving me alone with Susan. Susan brought me into a room with some privacy at the back of her clinic. She started off by waxing almost all of the hair on my body. The process was extremely painful for me, but luckily didn't last long, as I didn't have much hair. Once that was over, Susan handed me some panties and a bra and brought me over to a bathroom. "All right. Hayden, I need you to put these on before we continue," said Susan. "Oh, well, all right then," I said nervously. For some reason, I had forgotten I would have to wear female clothes if I wanted to do this. It was too late now to back out, though. So I went into the bathroom and began undressing. Once I was undressed, I pulled the panties on, realizing there was a small pocket for my male parts. After putting everything away and pulling the panties up all the way, I looked in the mirror and realized that my male parts were no longer visible. I looked like a girl down there. I was pretty amazed by it. I then attempted to put the bra on. I struggled for a while with the strap at the back, but was eventually able to do it. Once I was finished, I walked out of the bathroom. Susan was waiting for me. "Wow, those panties did a good job down there. Let's move on to the next thing," Susan said. She then brought me back into the room and showed me a small box. Inside, there were 2 small but noticeable breast forms and a small tube of glue. "Wait, do you want me to glue these on myself?" I asked, slightly worried. "Yes, but the glue is only temporary. At most, it will last 3 days. "There's nothing to worry about," Susan said. Her response didn't really make me feel less worried, but I decided to do it anyway. I laid down on the bed while Susan applied the glue to the forms and attached them to my body. After around 5 minutes of lying down, I sat back up. I instantly felt the weight from the forms. It wasn't much, but it was something I would have to get used to. "Looking good. Hayden, you look pretty feminine to me. The only thing missing is an hourglass figure." "But that doesn't really matter at your age," said Susan. Susan asked me to wait before rushing off to another room. She eventually returned, holding a long brunette wig. She placed it on a nearby table, first choosing to put a hairnet over my actual hair. Once that was done, she brought the wig back over and started fitting it onto my head. Eventually, I felt Susan clip the wig to my head, locking it in place. "You already look like a girl. I can't wait to see the final result," Susan said excitedly. "Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting," I said back. Susan once again asked me to sit back in the chair for my makeup. Out of everything we had done, this took the longest. I sat there for around an hour while the makeup was applied. Eventually, Susan decided she was done and brought over a mirror. When I looked in it, I was stunned. I looked incredible when I started all this. I wasn't sure how well it would work, but I now knew it definitely would. "Susan, you've done such a good job," I said excitedly. "I appreciate that. Hayden, or I guess I should now be calling you Holly," she said happily. "All you need now are some girly clothes. Wait here." I patiently waited, curious to see what I would be wearing. She quickly returned, holding a few different clothing pieces. "So, what would you like to wear?" she asked, placing the clothes on a nearby table. I stood up and walked over to the table to have a look. There were several options, including a dress, a skirt and crop top, and even a sports bra with leggings. I quickly ruled out the crop top and skirt. I didn't like how much skin they showed. The leggings and sports bra looked uncomfortable. Just like that. "I've made my choice, the dress it is," I said to Susan as I picked it up. Susan helped me put it on, giving me a few tips along the way. Once I was in the dress, I walked over to the full-length mirror, seeing everything together for the first time. I was even more shocked than before. Beautiful. Susan, you did such a good job. I look incredible, I said while staring at myself. It's my pleasure. Holly, I really hope you get the job, Susan said. I started practicing speaking in a more feminine voice for the interview. It wasn't very hard, though, as my voice was already fairly high. I spent some more time getting used to everything until my mum arrived back at the clinic to pick me up. She was stunned when she saw me. Susan, how have you managed that? He looks nothing like a guy anymore, said my mum. Susan explained everything. And eventually, it was time to leave. My mum and I thanked Susan before driving home. When I arrived home, I checked my emails, hoping I had received a response from the modeling agency. I was thrilled to see an email saying I could come in for an interview the following day. I spent the rest of the day practicing how to act as a girl. It was a lot of fun. Eventually, nighttime came, and it was time to sleep. I woke up the following day extremely excited for my interview. I put on the same clothes I had been given the day before and applied some basic makeup like Susan had taught me. Eventually, I was once again on the bus, slowly making my way toward the same agency I had been rejected from days earlier. When I arrived, I spoke with the same receptionist. You had been here last time I was here, I thought nervously. I was terrified I would get found out. But she didn't seem to know who I was. I patiently waited for my interview, practicing different responses in my head. Eventually, a woman came into the waiting room and called out my new girl name, Holly. I followed her into an office where the interview began. So, Holly, it's good to meet you. I'm Kate. Let's get started, she said. Over the next hour, I answered all her questions. She seemed fairly happy with my answers. Once everything was done, I was told to wait in the waiting room again. After around 5 minutes, the same woman returned smiling. Holly, you've gotten the job, she said. I was thrilled. Really, thank you so much. Kate, when do I start? I asked excitedly. If possible, we would like you back here tomorrow for some training. Would that work for you? She asked. That works perfectly for me. I will definitely be back, I said. After some more conversation, I started heading home. I couldn't believe I had finally achieved my dream, even if it was like this. The future was going to be a lot of fun. When I got home, I went to find my mum. I couldn't wait to tell her the good news. I quickly found her in the kitchen and started speaking to her. Mum, I did it. I got the job, I said happily. That's great news. When do you start? My mum replied. I started explaining everything to her. I told her about what I would be doing at the job and about my training tomorrow. I then asked my mum to help me get some things ready for my first day. First off, I needed some different clothes. Showing up to the agency tomorrow in the same clothes I was wearing now would be pretty embarrassing. Fortunately, my mum agreed to take me to a clothing store to find some new things. Around an hour later, we arrived at the store and started looking around together. I let my mum do most of the shopping since I didn't know much about female clothes. We spent quite a while in the store, buying multiple clothing pieces for me. Eventually, we were finished and headed home. Once home, I went to my room with the clothes. I figured now would be a good time to get more comfortable with being a girl and wearing girly clothes. I decided to try on one of the skirts we had bought first, pairing it with a tight tank top. Once I had the clothes on, I saw just how good I looked. I realized I was more attractive than a lot of the girls at my school. This boosted my confidence and helped me prepare for my first day as a model tomorrow. The rest of the day went by quickly, and I eventually went to sleep, looking forward to the next day. When I woke up, I was ecstatic. I quickly got ready for the day. While getting dressed, I realized that the glue on the breast forms had dissolved. Luckily, I had some glue that Susan had given me at the clinic, and I was able to reapply it for my outfit. I decided to wear the same skirt and tank top from yesterday. They just looked so good on me. I applied some basic makeup, like I had for the interview, and finished my outfit. When my older sister moved out of our house, she left one of her handbags, so I decided to use it for the day to carry my things. My goal was to make a good first impression. I eventually set off for the agency with my mom, who decided to drive me for my first day. Once I arrived, I said goodbye to her and went inside, where I was greeted by the receptionist. "Hi there. Holly, it's good to see you again. Go through that door around the corner. Kate should be waiting for you," the receptionist said. "All right. Thank you," I replied, smiling. I did what I was told and went through the door. As promised, Kate was waiting for me. "Good morning." "Holly, are you ready for your first day?" said Kate. "I definitely am ready. I can't wait to do this job," I replied. Kate seemed happy with my response and started teaching me some modeling basics. The day mainly consisted of learning about clothes, poses, and walking. Everything went really well. I was told to come back the next day for more training, which I did. The next day, I was once again at the agency, this time doing a practice photo shoot. I really enjoyed everything and was even starting to get used to being a girl. My life couldn't have gotten much better. Eventually, my summer break, the thing that was allowing me to do this, was about to come to an end. One day, my mum came to speak to me about something important. "Hayden, we need to talk about what you will do once school starts again," said my mum. "What do you mean I can do the modeling thing when I'm not at school?" "I'll just switch between Hayden and Holly, depending on what I need to do," I replied. "That won't work. Hayden, the amount of effort to constantly change isn't worth it. Plus, with things like the breast forms, you can't take them on and off. They stay on for 3 days," my mum said. I hadn't thought about a lot of the things she was bringing up. "Well, what do I do then? I would hate to give up the modeling position," I said. "You have 2 options. Either you quit the modeling job and live as Hayden for school, or you start living as Holly entirely." My mum replied, "What do you mean?" "Live as Holly entirely?" I asked, slightly confused. "What I mean is you live as Holly permanently. You will do everything as Holly, including going to school," my mum explained. I really had to think about what my mum said. Was it really worth changing everything about my life just for my dream job? In the moment, I decided that it was worth it. "You know what, I'll become Holly full-time." "Then?" I said, still unsure if I had made the right decision. My mom seemed a little surprised by my decision, but she didn't comment. She simply said she had to get some things ready. I spent the rest of the day working on modeling skills at home until my mom came into my room. "Holly, I've got good news. I spoke to your school about your situation, and they said it's okay for you to go as a girl." My mom said, "That's great. Going to school as a girl will be interesting," I replied, thinking about it. My mom then told me she was going shopping to buy me more clothes and a new school uniform over the next couple of days. I spent a lot of time preparing everything for me to live as Holly. I bought new clothes, school equipment, and even more makeup for myself. I wasn't really looking forward to going back to school, even though I knew most of the people there. They wouldn't know me anymore. I was going to have to start from scratch and pretend I didn't know anyone. It was nerve-wracking. Eventually, the first day of school came. I had a full day of classes and a photo shoot after school at the agency. It was going to be a long day. I got dressed in my new female school uniform, got ready, and set off for school. When I arrived, I went to my first class and sat down in the corner. I could tell that a lot of people were looking at me, especially the boys. It was awkward, as I had been friends with many of them. But now I had to pretend I didn't know them, apart from the boys staring at me. My first day at school as a girl went pretty smoothly. After school, I caught the bus to the modeling agency for my photo shoot. The photo shoot took around an hour and was a lot of fun. Once it was done, Kate came over and handed me my first paycheck. I earned around $800 just from a few photo shoots I had done the week before. I couldn't believe it. Over the next few weeks, my life was honestly pretty enjoyable. I earned even more money from additional photo shoots and even made some new friends at school. I was at the point where I preferred being a girl over being my old self as Hayden. Eventually, I decided to speak to my mom about actually transitioning one day. After coming back from a photo shoot, I spoke with her. "Hey Mom, over the last couple of weeks, I've enjoyed living as Holly so much more than I did as Hayden. I want to actually transition into a girl," I said nervously. My mom took a few moments to respond. "Oh, I can't say I didn't see this coming. You've looked so much happier as Holly. I have no issue with you transitioning," she said. Smiling, I was thrilled with what my mum said. I had expected her not to allow me to transition, but she was completely fine with it. Over the next few weeks, when I had time, my mum and I visited multiple doctors to discuss transitioning. Eventually, we found a good doctor and began the process. I started taking estrogen pills and hormone blockers. It didn't take long before I started seeing the effects. Within a month, my figure had started changing, my chest began growing, and my hips seemed wider. I also noticed my face becoming slightly more feminine, and my real hair grew longer. I was really enjoying the process. I had been attractive when pretending to be a girl, but I was becoming even more attractive as I transitioned. Over the following months, things really changed for me. My figure became very feminine, and I no longer needed chest forms, as I now had my own. It felt amazing not to have to pretend anymore. After my transition, my life only got better. I continued modeling, making more money each year. Eventually, I finished school and moved into my own home. I even met a guy, and we began dating. Things are now perfect, and I couldn't be happier. Thanks for watching this video. We would really appreciate it if you would leave a like and subscribe to our channel. The next series will begin in a few days. If you have any ideas for the story, let us know in the comments below.